just take a look at some of the issues that are affecting the IEBC right now. We'll be getting that on full screen. All right, we have a rift in IEBCs between Boya Molu, Abdi Gulie and Wafula Chebukati on one side, and on the other side, we have Ezra Chiloba, Connie Maina and Paul Kurgat. Those are some of we are seeing the division between the IEBC. We can see those, we have three sides on one hand, and the other we have Boya Molu, Abdi Gulie and Wafula Chebukati on one side, and on the other side we have Ezra Chiloba, Connie Maina and Paul Kurgat. But now joining me in studio just to help us dissect some of those issues going on in the IEBC is Omingo Magara, who is, of course, the party leader of People's Democratic Party, also known as PDP, and the chair of the Center for Multi-Party Democratic Kenya. Many thanks for joining us here on News Center.
Thank you, Ashley.
Earlier on, we spoke to Gabriel Mukele, who is the former ECK commissioner, and what he said is the body should stand as one. But of course, here we are seeing the body is not standing as one. We are seeing cohesion. We're not seeing cohesion in the IEBC. I'll just let you react to that first before you continue.
First and foremost, allow me to also pass my condolences to the late, great son of Kenya, Honorable Matiba, who is a known politician and a successful business person. May God rest his soul in eternal peace. Yeah. Back to business. I really want to say that the Constitution of Kenya, Article 248 and 49, create the independent commissions and bodies that are entrusted with responsibilities. I want to state, without missing my words, that the school is as good as the headmaster and vice versa. To me, it appears that there is lack of leadership in the IEBC, and you even had Kenyans talk about lack of confidence. They hold a very, very sensitive institution that can either burn the country or put the country together, knowing that elections in this country, the winner takes it all, is very emotive in a sense. If the mistake is done, the country can easily burn. So we're saying, I think, from where I sit, the commission is actually almost at a point where you cannot salvage, both in confidence from public and also in terms of delivering their mandate. It is critical also to note, actually, that if commission is not focused, eyes on the ball, to do an audit of the previous elections for us to have a better election next time, yes, I do not think you're going to get there. And the sooner the house is put in order, the better for us. Perhaps the best thing is to reorganize and restructure the IEBC, because one of the commissioners resigned, and of course, fairly a cowardly act, because if you do not run away from a problem and throw stones into where you're supposed to solve a problem at. So I expect that where it is today, it is beyond salvage, and I think there's no leadership in the organization, and the best we can do is to engage on the gear forward to restructure IEBC for the future confidence of Kenyans.
All right, so you're saying, one, it needs to be reorganized, but before that is done, we're saying there's a pending investigation. How will the infights affect this investigation?
Certainly, it's obvious that these are really partisan interests. Really, if you are standing to protect the sovereignty of the organization as per the Constitution, these issues that we are seeing in the press, it does not really help us. So it means even the investigation we are trying to do, some people will be covering it, others will be trying to unearth it. It is difficult because it's just like if you are driving a manual car, the ones we drove a while ago. If you are driving that car and you want to do 120 kilometers per hour, one of you is slapping your leg on the clutch, and one of you is accelerating. The clutch will burn. What is happening here, that organization will burn. And the only remedy is to either hold it at that and push the investigation to another board to do it. They cannot lift their own weight because it's too heavy on them.
All right. We want to just listen to what the people of Garissa had to say on this issue. And of course, we'll be getting back. So let's just listen to what they had to say.
Commissioner IEBC, sisi kama wakazi wa Garissa ama wa Kenya, hatuna shughuli na hawa. Manake August tarehe 8 ndo wametuharibia maisha. Na hatuna imani na hiyo commission hata kidogo. Manake mwanzo kabla ya tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 tulikuwa na imani na hawa, wakafanya karata yao hapo, Chebukati na Chiloba. Huyu mara anapea Chiloba, mara Chebukati anapea Chiloba. Sasa tumekosa imani na hawa, lakini kwa saa hizi vile hao wenyewe wanavurutana tena, karata imerudi kwao, ndio furaha kwetu sisi. Tunaangalia tu vile wanacheza karata. Mambo ya kupiga kura 2022 hatuna imani na hawa, na hatupende hata kama kidogo. Hawa jamaa wakae kwa hiyo ofisi wapige kura.
Mambo ya IEBC tunaona iendelee mzuri, na hata Wakenya walikosa imani na IEBC kutoka mwaka jana August, sababu vile walifanya August mpaka sasa hivi Wakenya wako na hasira na wao, na vile tunaona hata wawezi endelea. Wanapaswa kuwa wametoka kitambo na tukaunda commission nyingine, sababu hata tukienda na uchaguzi mwingine na watu kama hao, na maanisha tutakuwa tunafanya kazi ya bure na Wakenya wameshoka. Kwa hivyo maoni yangu ni hiyo tume yote iende nyumbani.
IEBC mimi naona afadhali ibaniwe. IEBC sioni kama inafanya kazi yake, hatuna imani na IEBC. Afadhali mambo ya uchaguzi wapewe watu judiciary pengine watufanyie judiciary. Wafanye mambo ya uchaguzi.
Wale watu wanaambiwa waende nyumbani kwa sababu walifanya makosa. Wanafaa kwenda nyumbani kwa sababu matarajio yetu vile tulivyofika kura si vile matokeo ilikuwa. Kwa hivyo sasa mimi naona huyu Chiloba hata kuambiwa aende nyumbani apumzike hii miezi ameambiwa ndo wafanye marekebisho, naona ni kama ni sawa.
For me, I think another electoral body should be a new one now, not the IEBC now that we have now. I think we should have a new one for a better change.
As far as the IEBC is concerned, I see that wrangles which is coming in between these two big people, the commission themselves, it's better an inquiry team should be formed so that these wrangles which is going on within the commission should be solved once and for all. Because if the commission themselves have problems, I think they cannot create a wonderful and credible election next time.
All right, that are some of the reactions we got from Garissa County. But of course, before we go back to our conversation, I want us to look at some of the issues that were mentioned in the IEBC audit report. And I'll start with the first one, which is a flouting of procurement laws. The next one is a delay in goods delivery and missing tender documents. That is just some of the issues that were highlighted in that IEBC audit report. And I'll come to you, Ominga. We have seen three issues there: flouting of procurement laws, a delay in goods delivery, and of course missing tender documents. Let's start with the first one, flouting of procurement laws. This is an issue that was highlighted. What can be done apart from, dissolving the whole commission that can help revive it in terms of helping the challenge of flouting of procurement laws?
I think it is not this commission to help solve that problem. Mm-hmm. In fact, the better still, when they are out, it can be done much better, because I can tell you from what I see, the interests are deep-rooted within the commission themselves. And you see, the highlights brought out by the Auditor General are issues that border on criminality and prosecution when proven. So I think up to what it is, somebody is culpable. The only thing we cannot condemn them until they are hard. So the challenge of like flouting of procurement laws is a criminal thing. It's a economic crime thing that needs to, upon proof, somebody should go to jail. But the challenge is, if the environment is such that even the investigation cannot flow easily, the only way is to kind of remove those ones who are standing in the way of justice for us to deliver. Delaying goods. So
wait, what you're trying to say is the division in the commission will affect the pending investigations?
Will compromise, although it is not even within their realm, because that is a matter now that for the public prosecutor to actually find out the investigation of CAD and other organs of investigation to prove those events and prefer charges. Okay. They may, of necessity, have an input to it, but what they can only do is to influence negatively for the eventual result of prosecution or otherwise. So the continued stay, even in that kind of information, it is actually going to compromise. And corruption fights back. If I have it and I want to cover my back, of course I ensure myself the same resources I've stolen from people. All and there's an issue of governance that we've always been fighting over time and again. As the chairman of Public Accounts Committee, I remember Sometimes you also make pronouncements by the Auditor General makes pronouncements. Parliament needs to investigate that. Upon investigation, then make a recommendation to the investigative organs. Now, there is still a long journey to make somebody culpable, but that journey cannot be successful with this kind of wrangles. We need to have a free environment and, of course, a clear way of getting the facts out and having to bring someone to account who is culpable.
So what is that clear way? The
clear way is having Parliament to go through the reports which the Auditor General has, and of course the Public Accounts Committee of the Kenya National Assembly is at the center of this. After which, therefore, whatever findings they do upon taking evidence from the people mentioned, they have to make recommendations of either passing to the CID and the PPP for prosecution. The challenge is, are we going to have it flow? I'm sure Parliament will do something. But I can tell you, so long as the same people are in the system, they will puncture and botch the entire process.
So you're saying as long as the same people are in the system, they will puncture the whole process. So should they be dissolved completely and let go?
I wish they were sitting on one side agreeing Chiloba should go because he's the accounting officer.
Yeah.
But if the commissions who are also supposed to guide policy are divided, then you can see, obviously, it's one way of thinking. People, some will be pulling, some will be pushing, to the extent that we shall actually lose the focus on where we want to take it to.
All right. I want us to listen to more reactions, and this time they're coming from Eldoret, that is in Uasin Gishu County. Let's just listen in before we continue with Omingo Magara.
Ningeomba kwamba sehemu hii ya IEBC basi iweke kando kidogo, alafu wapatie tume nyingine uchaguzi ambayo itaandaa uchaguzi ambao ni rasmi kabisa, ama iwapo basi itaandaa uchaguzi huo, basi iwekwe na kuwe na mchakato mwingine mkubwa kabisa ambapo utaelekeza kuwe na uchaguzi mzuri kabisa.
2022 tunaenda kutarajia uchaguzi mwingine. Tunasema kuwa tume ya IEBC iweze kuendelea na uchaguzi mwingine. Tuliweza kupata na kujua kwamba tume ya IEBC ilifanya kazi ya huru na haki. Tunaomba na kusema IEBC tuendelee na kazi, tuko pamoja.
Tume hii ya IEBC iweze kupewa nafasi nyingine ya kuendelea na kazi yake, ingawa kwamba wanasema kulikuwa na dosari katika uchaguzi uliopita, lakini kwa maoni yangu binafsi ni kwamba tume hii bado ina nguvu na ina uwezo wa kuandaa uchaguzi. Kwa hivyo basi ninaonelea ipewe nafasi nyingine ya kuendeleza kazi yake kama tume.
IEBC ilifanya kazi yake vizuri na ipatiwe nafasi ya kuendelea hata katika uchaguzi wa 2022.
Kusema kweli, kama IEBC wako na mzozo, mimi nafurahia kwamba wafunje alafu watengeneze IEBC mpya, kwa sababu wenyewe already wanakosana. Kama wangekuwa wanafanya kazi sambamba, wangekuwa wanashikana na kufanya kazi mzuri. Lakini kwa maoni yangu naonelea kwamba Chebukati, hiyo tume yake ifutiliwa mbali, yani tupiliwa mbali na watengeneza tume nyingine mzuri ya kufanyia wananchi kazi mzuri.
Mimi kuhusiana na IEBC naona walifanya kazi mzuri na ningebelelea iendelee, kwa sababu wananchi ni kama walikubaliana na hawa ndio nchi yetu iendelee.
All right, these are just some of the reactions. We are seeing that in Garissa, people said they need to be let go. They do not have faith in the IEBC. Here in Eldoret, some of them are saying they need to be given another chance. So if IEBC is given another chance, will they be able to complete their mandate?
Let me also say this, that from where I sit, it looks like it's an internal problem. Of course, we cannot rule out any other fishy deals from out there to make that organization collapse. But essentially, when we saw the attack, I was the first person at the Center for Multiparty Democracy saying, let us respect our institutions and let them deliver their mandate. Unfortunately now, this is internal. You cannot now separate and say, do they need to be insulated to continue causing the mess and further division, knowing for a fact that as we drift close to elections, again, the issues that have been swept under the carpet will resurface. This is the right time the IEBC Commission should actually do an audit and see the mischief and the challenges they had to correct them for the better elections next time. If they are busy doing what they are doing, it does not matter how much time they require. this clutch will surely burn and the gears will never engage because one of them is slamming the foot on the brake, the other one is slamming the foot on the accelerator. That vehicle will not move.
All right. You're saying from where you stand, they're in fights. It's internal. But then what are the possibilities that there could be external issues that are being brought into the IEBC, and how exactly can we tackle them if that is the situation?
You can't rule out external interference.
Yes.
But again, unless you can put your finger on it, it is the people who are mature enough, who have got independence of the office. The Constitution gives them the insulation to stop taking any external interference. If you cannot stand that interference with the powers you have in the Constitution, then you're not worth the business.
Right.
I think the best thing is to exit, because honestly, if you're going to be manipulated with the powers you have, it does not matter how long you take. It doesn't matter who else, because someone today will manipulate you today, and when they're done with you, somebody else will take over. It's going to be moving around circles. The thing we need to do is to tidy the IEBC, start making reforms, because I do know there are issues in the IEBC Act and even the operations and the mischiefs and the messes that were in the elections. I'm not saying it was all bad, but majority of the issues can only be done on hindsight. They should now be mirroring on the past and focus on the future for purpose of having a clean elections. This way, it can move.
All right. Now, Ezra Chiloba has lost a bid to temporarily lift his suspension from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. The Employment and Labour Relations Court has said the matter will be heard on May 7th, in essence affecting a memo issued to the IEBC CEO to take compulsory 3 months leave from office pending an audit following the 2017 general election. Timothy Otieno with that story.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission CEO Ezra Chiloba will have to stay clear from his Anniversary Towers office, at least for now. This is after Judge Stephen Radido on Friday declined to grant the CEO's request to be reinstated to his position, saying that he needed to hear all parties and facts to the case first.
The court directs that the application petition be heard and determined on an expedited basis.
Chiloba, who has been fighting an April 6th memo requiring him to go on a 3-month compulsory leave pending the conclusion of an ongoing audit over the acrimonious 2017 polls, through his lawyers insists that the manner in which he was removed from office was malicious. The decision to suspend him reached by a 2/3 majority vote from other commissioners led by the IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati, whom Chiloba accuses of witch hunt, a notion the Employment and Labour Relations Court appears to have noticed.
The dispute presented to court reveals a complex clash between the powers of an employer as an employer under the common law and constitutional and statutory protections afforded public officers in this jurisdiction.
In his ruling, Justice Stephen Radido directed that Chiloba proceeds on compulsory leave for the moment, since he had not proven that he will suffer any prejudice.
It has long been recognized under the common law that suspension of an employee with or without pay would be in breach of contract.
In his lawsuit, Chiloba contends that the decision by the chairman Wafula Chebukati to send him on compulsory leave was wrong, as he was not given an opportunity to defend himself. The court has directed that the sued parties file responses to the case so that the hearing is expedited, in essence directing that Ezra Chiloba go on a 3-month compulsory leave until the matter is heard and determined. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
All right, so Ezra Chiloba has lost a bid to temporarily lift his suspension from the IEBC. When this happened, we were seeing the likes of Connie Maina, who's the vice chair, saying they were not aware of this. This wasn't done the right way. Do you think Wafula Chebukati, who is the chair of IEBC, should have taken a different route?
Generally, I think under governance structures, which are documented, the board, the commissioners worked as the board of the organization, have the latitude to hire and fire. The challenge is we don't have the fact to know exactly whether there was a board convened to take this action. And even if the board was convened and somebody had a dissenting view, the majority will carry the day. Now, what Chebukati need to do is to tell us that they met and somebody had a different view, but the majority had it. That's about democracy. So I think whatever Chiloba, the board did, hiring and firing is their mandate. And the only thing is, how did they do it? We can even go back to the minutes and see who attended the meeting. And if surely it was done as unilaterally, that's also another issue that can also throw this commission into some confusion. Because you need to also get together. As I told you earlier, the school is as good as headmaster and vice versa. So how you run this school gives you the outcome, whether you are performing or not performing. So I want to believe that if the Connie Minor was not in the loop, and there was a meeting which she never attended, either if there was quorum, then she's bound by the decision of that decision of the commissioners. If she didn't appear, there was no quorum, and there are no minutes to sanction or to dismiss or suspend Chiloba, then Chiloba may have acted outside his mandate. The challenge is, how did it go? And if the commissioners sat and there are minutes, Chebukati did what was right, and therefore, even if you are an employee, the same way you were hired and you think you are clean, please step out and wait for your verdict. Unless there's something you want to cover in the office. Basically, the governance structure as such, and that was done. If we did within the realm of the law by convening a meeting to take a resolution of the board, it was perfect. If it didn't, then that's an anomaly which can also throw this thing back into confusion, and those litigation costs are going to be given back to the person.
So what's the way forward?
Way forward. Whichever way we look at it, Ashley, this commission is polluted beyond salvage. The best thing to do, and I wish some of them would take a honorable thing to walk out of this mess and walk with their head high, because we could defend them when they were external interference. We cannot manage, and personally I can't stand for them to say that you're being manipulated from out and compromising on your integrity and you're a mature adult school person. I would love to see some of them take a ball out, and if they can't, they should be shipped out using the mechanism provided in the Constitution, and not tomorrow, but yesterday.
All right. Just allow me to sample some of the reactions we're getting online. And Steve Mutua says electoral injustice is really hunting these IEBC officers. It's good they call it quit. Maxi Luciano says all the puppets should go home. Mulanja Ndu says too little, too late. And Ken Obiero says, what a question. I believe this question should have been asked between 8th of last year and 26th of, 10th of 2017. Samson Diambo says, where is Duwale, Chiloba fan #1? Stardust says, I always wonder why people forget this when they're doing their underhand dealings. Of course, so just as we conclude, do you think it's too little, too late?
Well, I cannot say it's too late, because if you say that we need to have passed sentence to them against them on 8th, I mean, reasonably, you couldn't do that. Then the country would be in a crisis. Yes, an election that was annulled. There was a board to do it. We could not import anybody from space to come and do it. And by the way, let me tell you, Ashley, IEBC job is a very delicate job. And I'm not too sure even when you advertise anybody's going to come forth, because the turnover is too high. Confidence levels are not there. And I think it's because the stakes are too high. So if you say you're going to judge sentence to them as immediately as early as 8th of August, what you are saying is that we shouldn't have had them. How would we have come through this mess of a crisis over another election? So I think what it is today is perhaps it's a better disagreement now that is going to help us start working as early as today on a clean slate, so we can have elections managed better. Note, when most of us Kenyans, I think we make a mistake, we want to wait until about the 4th, 5th year, then we start amending the law. What then therefore happens is people see mischief and kind of collusion if it is done toward the tail end. When the temperatures are low, it is now we need to tidy up our act, look at the pitfalls where we made some mistakes, correct it for a better performance next election, so that we have a smooth elections where Kenyans go to poll and come back to work the following day. This issue of running battles are primitive, if not awkward.
All right, thank you very much, Omingo Magara, who is the party leader of the People's Democratic Party and chair of CMD Kenya, which is Center for Multi-Party Democratic Kenya. Thank you very much for joining us here on News Center. We want to take a short break here on News Center, but of course we have more in store for you. Don't go too far.